have Dr. Neena Saha here. Neena has spent years what we call scoring decodables and really just working on tools so that decodables could be useful for teachers and parents to really match up with the skill of their child or student. And this is really just an important first step in making decodables even more accessible in some of the more mainstream tools, and larger organizations like Lexile to start offering ways to make decodables useful. So this is really exciting, and the meeting today is really to give everybody a taste of what the tool looks like, what the information means, so that whether it's for a student, your child, you understand how to use it effectively. So with that, I'm going to just turn it over to Neena so she can explain more about this wonderful tool.
Thanks, Marian. It's great to be here, and I'm a huge fan of the hard work you're doing at Teach My Kid to Read, and this is a real honor here to present. So just a quick background on myself. I started as a teacher, and I taught children who were really struggling to read. They were 9th and 10th graders, but reading at a 2nd and 3rd grade level, and that was kind of my first introduction into decodable books and decoding. And then at Vanderbilt, like Marian said, I really thought about this problem of how do we score decodable books? I've been thinking about this for a long time, and this is kind of the result of where we ended up. Some of my earlier work showed that we were creating a number to put on a decodable book about, to show how hard that book was to decode. But a lot of my subsequent work showed that teachers, parents, educators, they didn't really want a single number, because that didn't really make sense, but they wanted a lot more information, like did it align with the scope and sequence? So hopefully this work today begins to answer that and provide really useful information. So without further ado, I want to introduce these new tools. One is a tool and one's a resource. So we have Lexile Find a Decodable Book is the tool, and then we have Lexile Decodable Passages. And the big picture here is that we know there's this huge buzz around science of reading. So we know teachers are getting trained in the science of reading. There's a lot of professional development, like letters going on, but the sort of what next is still unanswered. So teachers and educators are struggling to find resources that complement their knowledge. What do you do next with that knowledge? And Lexile Find a Decodable Book and Lexile Decodable Passages are designed to answer that. So they are free, high quality resources aligned to the science of reading. Just zooming out, big picture here, just want to, set the scene. We know that reading is more than just decoding and phonics. Sometimes the science of reading movement sort of unfairly gets pegged as just decoding and phonics. We know that's not true. And at Metametrics, we have tools and frameworks across this full spectrum. So this is the simple view of reading here. Language comprehension on the left, word recognition or decoding here. Multiply those together, you get reading comprehension. We're known for our Lexile framework for reading, matching readers to text. For over 35 million students get that Lexile measure. But we also, it's important to note, we have stuff for language comprehension, our new framework for listening, Power V, our vocabulary tools, our Lexile framework for oral reading, and then the two today that I'm really excited about, Lexile Find a Decodable Book and Lexile Decodable Passages. All right, so I said earlier that teachers are struggling to find high quality materials, and I should say parents too as well. A lot of times, parents and teachers are going to Facebook to get recommendations. We see in these groups, including the one that Marian runs, looking for recommendations for great decodable book sets, looking for decodable book recommendations that align with the kindergarten foundations units. So this is a great first start, right? It's nice to get recommendations from people we know. Let's say even one of those comments lands on a series you might be interested in. So what do you do next? Most people would probably go to Amazon, kind of check out the publisher and click, look inside to get a sample of the pages. let's say you look inside and you check out the words, he jogs in the bog. And just for example's sake, let's say you've just taught short A and you're looking for some books to reinforce that skill. Because decodable books are usually, not always, but usually used immediately after a lesson that you've just taught to reinforce that skill and offer opportunities for the student to practice it. So if we've just taught the letter sound short A, making the, short A is an A, we'd want some texts that have a high percentage of that same sound. So in this case, he jogs in the bog. This is short O. But still the words look good if you're teaching CVC short vowels. So you have Prime, maybe you order this set, it arrives 2 days later and you open it up and you're a little bit disappointed though, because you see the words, it was a gold coin. Now, I'm not trying to pick on this exact, particular publisher. This is not a screenshot from my work. This is from Campbell Creates Readers. I'm a fan of her work. If you go to her Instagram, you can see that there are, she reviews a series of decodable books, a couple of them. And maybe this is an anomaly, but I'm using this as an example here just to point out, you thought it was okay, you peered inside, you used all the available tools, but like this is going to kind of struggle. A student might struggle with those words, golden coin. So what if there was a better way? What if we could peek inside and not just see sample pages, but all of the words that are in there? So that's what we wanted to try and solve with Lexile Find a Decodable Book. These are new decodable resources, at your fingertips. So how do you access them? So the first thing I want to say is you go to that Find a Decodable Book is completely free. This is not behind a paywall. You go to hub.lexile.com and you log in. You can create a login email, again, completely free, and you'll see your state up here. So if you want to know if you're a partner state, and that's more for decodable passages, which I'll talk about, in a few minutes here. But if you go to hub.lexile.com, you will find a decodable book, right on the front page under K through 2 tools. It's cut off here by the red arrow, or right here under the quick links, you could just click Find a Decodable Book. Once you click on that, you're going to see a drop-down filter, a search option here to select one of these sounds. So we have short A, E, I, O, U. We have an option for all short vowel sounds, and it's cut off right here, but we also have long A, E, I, O, U, and all long vowel sounds. As of now, you can only choose one, and we only have these 10 sounds, plus the 2 options for all short or all long. But I am going to talk about, where we plan on taking this in the future, right? Because we know decoding isn't sort of taught in isolation. You don't do short A, then short E. It's cumulative, systematic. And so the option to multi-select is something we are heavily considering right now. But as the tool stands today, if you go to hub.lexile.com, you go here, you click under and you select short A, then you click search over here. You'll be presented with several books that are ranked high to low in your percentage of short A, because that's what we selected. Here you can see your results, 286 books. So these 286 books that we launched the tool with were existing decodable authors series. So there were 9 decodable authors. Some of them, are probably really familiar to you if you, kind of peruse the Teach My Kid to Read, or the Facebook group, the Decodable Books one. And you probably recognize some of their names. And so what we did is we launched this tool with their existing decodable book series. And I said earlier, the default is ranked high to low on the percentage of short A. So this first book here, Cam, is going to have a high percentage of short A words. You can come over here, though, and refilter or resort your results by these different options. So the default's percent match, but we can also sort by word count high to low or word count low to high. And we added that in because some of these are decodable chapter books for, older readers who are struggling or teens. And so we wanted to give the educator or parent kind of, the option to not choose a 1,000-word book. Maybe if you're teaching kindergarten or first grade, they can only handle, 30 to 50 words. So you can resort your results by this. We also have the Lexile measure high to low and low to high as well, and we display it, right up here in the corner of the book. But that's really not the way to enter the tool, and it won't give you a lot of information on decodability. But you will see we've added a lot more information to supplement that Lexile. So when you hover over, if you take your mouse and, kind of hover over one of these titles, you'll see some more information, such as the series, bug books, the topic, general literature, and then the top 2 percentages of letter sounds. So we searched by short A, and sure enough, this book has a high percentage, 81% short A. The next most frequent sound is short I. Total words, 36. So this would be perfect, for a kindergarten, first grader who's just taught, short A or just working on short CVC words. Then if you click on read more or click on the actual book, you're going to be taken to this page where you get a lot more information. So I'm going to zoom in here because it's kind of hard to see this. So let's zoom in, scroll to the top. So you'll see the book, the title, author, age range 4 to 8, page count is 23, total words is 36, and unique words is 16. So a good example of the difference between what these two things mean, if the word the was in the book 3 times, it'd be counted 3 times here in this total for 36. However, for unique words, it'd only be counted once. So the discrepancy between these two kind of gives you an idea of the repetition of words within that book. And then there's a link here to go to that author's storefront or to purchase the book. So the really exciting part is this sort of decodability analysis here, and we'll spend some time on this. So that at the top, we have high frequency, irregular words and contractions. And I should say at the bottom, if you go to hub.lexile.com, click on any book and you want to figure out, you forgot what I said in this presentation and you want to figure out how we coded words, you can read a lot more about that down here by clicking the hyperlink, the URL down there. So back to the top. So we have high frequency, irregular words and contractions, but if a word's decodable, we put it in this template. And I should say we've taken every single word in the book and categorized it by both sound, so these short vowels here and long vowels on the left on this column, as well as spelling pattern. So sometimes these get confused with syllable types, but these are definitely spelling patterns, and these don't refer to phonemes. These are like the graphemes. So we've got CVC, short words here, ran, jam, ham, can, and look at all of these short A words. You can see where you get to that 81%, right? There's a lot of good short CVC, short A words. And then we've got other headings here. So these are if you added in, blends or digraphs here. Here we have 3-letter blends and trigraphs. We have R-controlled. We have open sort of CV spelling patterns, magic E or silent E here, again, with the option for like 2-letter blends or digraphs, and then vowel teams. And I'll talk a little bit about where we think we could head with this in the future. I should also say that this book had 100% single syllable words. So all of them fit in this template. If it was a multisyllabic word, the percentage would show here and the actual words would be listed. We don't categorize those by different spelling patterns. Maybe in the future, if we get a lot of feedback saying that would be useful, perhaps for the sort of off-ramp of decodable books, transitioning into less controlled text, that could be useful. So it's something we will consider. So you can see like this part is this is kind of like what we're really excited about. And I played a large part in designing this and helping build out this product. And it's really, English is so tricky. So this was really hard to do. And so it was hard to find kind of like this unique sort of agnostic template to measure, to show the information necessary for a teacher or parent to select a book. That was our point, right? We weren't trying to say this book's decodable, this one isn't. Rather, we're providing the information necessary for teachers and parents and literacy tutors to make more informed judgments about books that would match their scope and sequence. All right, so that was Lexile Find a Decodable Book. And the point of this presentation is just to provide, a brief overview, and I will take questions at the end on it. And I'm happy, I'll give my email out. We can answer, if we don't get to your question today, we can answer a lot in the future as well. But I do want to spend a couple slides, a few minutes here on our new tool, Decodable Passages. And these passages are free for educators in our partner states. If you're not sure if you're in a partner state, log into hub.lexile.com and it'll tell you when you log in. If not, I believe it's $17.99. It's behind a paywall and you get access to that plus a whole lot of other tools. It's not just the decodable passages. And the decodable passages, there are over 100, I believe it's 108 written by existing decodable authors who had written those series of books. And you can see the drop-down filter here is a little bit different. So instead of short A, then short E, then short I, we decided to make it cumulative. And we made these judgments after looking at sort of the top 6 reading programs and the way that they introduce sounds in their scopes and sequences. So we wanted them to be able to match up to those top programs, or if you don't have a program and you just want to use these as a standalone set of passages, you can do that too. So the options here, I can make it a little bit bigger. You have short A, then it combines short A and E, short A and I, etc. And we can definitely add to this resource bank as well, but this is what we decided to start with. And a key thing I want to point out is that it's really hard. I've seen a lot of comments on the Facebook groups about finding passages that have short vowels plus blends and digraphs. So over 50 of our passages have that. So that's pretty exciting and something unique that's out there. So what do our passages look like? So this is just an example. It's on the shorter side. So this is called On a Mat by Cheryl Young. We highlight the instructional focus up here. So this one's focused on short A. Here's the text. This one's pretty short. Some of them are a lot, longer if they focus on blends and digraphs. A cute, fun, illustration that doesn't give away the meaning of the text. We did include 2 comprehension questions that could be answered. They're very literal from the text. If you don't want to use them, we know there's debate, surrounding whether decodable text should be used with in conjunction with comprehension. You don't have to, but they're there if you want them. And if you liked this passage, what you could do is click on this link by Cheryl Young and it'll take you back to the tool I just showed you. So Lexile Find a Decodable Book, and it'll take you back to Cheryl Young's works in that tool. Also, these are printable, so you can print them and use them, offline or just read them online, either one. And I just want to take a couple minutes here and state that what I showed you today, especially with Lexile Find a Decodable Book, is very much a version 1. There's a few things that we are looking back and actively getting feedback on, so please give us your feedback, because that'll be useful in determining the features that we move forward with, in the immediate future. The first thing I want to point out is that, I said there are 286 books in there now. We are actively working with publishers to get more books in there. So as a publisher, it would bring awareness. It's this sort of, agnostic central place to highlight your work. So we are working, we have a lot of interest on the publisher side of getting more books scored and into that tool. Importantly, we are looking at improvements to the search, match, and display. So what do I mean by those 3 things? Well, if we go back to the search, right now, remember I said we have only these sounds, it's cut off. We have, more of the long vowels. And you can only do a single select. And that's really useful, right? If you get to the end and still see, all the information in the decodability analysis. But what might be even more helpful is having all 44 phonemes, plus the option to multi-select, right? Let's say you've taught short A and there's a few consonants, that you want to check, and it'll do a match based on that. So we need to think through, we want to hear which options you want here, and then the match criteria, because there's no solid research that I'm aware of on what is the best match. And honestly, it probably changes for different children at their stage of reading. So you might want to have another sort of criteria for what percent match you want. How high do you want it to match those letter sounds that you've selected? And one other thing I should say is, one thing we're also kind of toying around with is, what if there was a complete scope and sequence search? So what if you chose, a reading program here, I don't know, like Foundations and Unit 1, Week 3, and it already had the scope and sequence matched on the back end and matched books. So that's another thing we're thinking of. So let us know your thoughts on how, if that would be useful. And then I said search, match, which I've talked about, but also display. So in this template, we'd like to get feedback on what do you think you would like to see added here. For example, I talked about multisyllabic words. Is that something that would be useful to parse out into these different spelling patterns like we've done for the single syllable words? Or maybe there's different sounds or consonants that would be useful. So just some general feedback on the display, the sort of decodability analysis would also be helpful. So we encourage you all to go in and play in the sandbox. So we want to hear your feedback. And after you've had the chance to kick the tires around a bit, let us know what you think. Go to hub.lexile.com. Lexile Find a Decodable book is free for everyone. You could go in there right now. We launched this about 3 weeks ago now, and it's gotten a lot of, we've heard really great things from parents and publishers and just generally a really good response. So I'm excited by that, as well as we also have the decodable passages in there too. If you're a partner state, those are free. All right, Marian, that's actually all I have.
What I also would like to do is just share some other resources with everyone, since I don't see any additional questions. And one is, would you just take maybe a minute to talk about your newsletter, which is so very helpful?
Sure. Yeah. So you're talking about the reading research recap?
Yes.
Yeah, so that I started while I had my company Elemento, and it was kind of by chance. I had listened to a podcast on newsletters, and I was like, this is fascinating. If I were to start a newsletter, what would it be on? It's like, well, let me just, as a doc student, I was always trying to keep on top of the latest reading research, and it was really hard. So what I did was start compiling. I subscribed to a lot of different journal alerts and Google Scholar alerts. And I think I did it weekly back then. Every week I would, highlight all the research that came out that past week. And here at Metametrics, we made it monthly. And what I do now is still highlight that same research that's come out in the past month. I break it down, I think, by roughly the 5 pillars of reading, in the NRP report. So I think I have like phonics, fluency, comprehension. Sometimes there's a lot on like professional development, or a special issue came out, so I'll make a different heading. And I link directly to that research. And many of them are actually open access, so which is kind of fun because that means you get the full article. So if you click the link, you could kind of see everything that's in the journal. And then I take one article that I think is, really either interesting, important, or has direct implications for the classroom. And I do that one a little bit more in depth. I just provide a bigger summary on that. And we've done video, we've done 3 now. And I think we're going to kind of keep up that format in the near future. So you can sign up for that. I should know how to sign up for that. Just email me for now because I don't really know and we can get you on that list.
Yeah, and you can post it in the comment boxes, comment box on Teach My Kid to Read below this video. And I would say too that from that newsletter, we have added some of your research. You had in one edition, you talked about the research on decodable books, which is so sorely needed, and we included those sources in some of our work. So it really is amazing to just have the research consolidated and explained plainly each month. I look forward to it. And I actually wanted to point out too that for more information about decodable books, we have a lot of very helpful interviews with the various publishers on our YouTube channel. If you Google Teach My Kid to Read, you'll be able to access lots of different interviews and presentations. So lots of resources, and this is really such an amazing start. And I think that it's a pivotal moment in the world of decodable books. And I'm so glad that we could share it with you. And we'll have this recording on Facebook, and over the next couple of weeks, we'll also have it on our YouTube channel. So thank you so much.
Thank
And
you. Yeah, thank you
thanks
for
to
having me.
everybody for listening.